I honestly didn't know what to expect when I downloaded Guardians of the Galaxy. After the Avengers game left a bad taste in everyone's mouth, I didn't know how to feel going into this one. I can definitely say that I'm a fan of the Guardians franchise, but it's far from my favorite Marvel property. I enjoy the movies, but I've never read any of the comics or looked deeper into the Guardians universe. So a lot of the characters that you encounter along the journey through this game were completely new to me, and I love that. I'm sure if you know the characters, it's really cool to see them in a game, but even going in blind, it was a great way to be introduced to them. So after my first playthrough when the game came out, I'm excited to see if I can have just as good of a time in 2023.
Out of my mind, delirious. You should hop in the void if you're curious. I maneuver the floor of my energy willingly. Wizard of Zoo, the furious fool, releasing my demons and killing their moves. Just cause it was written don't mean that it's true. Disrupting my method, they want me to lose. Don't feel no pressure, been staying in tune.
I don't know if this game's story is completely original or if it follows or pulls inspiration from the comic. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with them. But either way, I actually really enjoyed it. The whole way through the game, it kept me engaged and awaiting what was going to happen next. I don't want to give any details, just in case you haven't played the game yet. I don't want to give you spoilers. But there are legitimately gut-wrenching moments in this game, and if you're an easy crier, then you might get got while playing this one. There are some moments that you see coming before they happen just because of cliches you've seen in other media, but I'm a firm believer that after you've consumed a certain amount of media, it's really difficult to be legitimately surprised by it, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. I'd give this game's story a solid B+. It's good enough to leave an impression on you and keep you coming back until the end. I don't want to give anything away. Like I said, I think you should just find out for yourself. So, a very interesting choice was made by the developer when it comes to the gameplay. Instead of giving the player the ability to control all 5 Guardians, they chose to lock you in as Star-Lord for the game's whole duration. Your team members will look after themselves in combat, but you do have the ability to use your partner's powers as you see fit. This adds a bit of strategy to any fight you get into. I think they did it to avoid any comparisons to the Avengers game. You know, if they had it where you could control all 5 Guardians, people might be asking why there's not any co-op or anything like that, and it would have been the Avengers game all over again. And yeah, I don't blame them for trying to avoid that. That game was terrible. The game can start to feel a little stale at times, but it's not too long before a new enemy type or new ability is introduced to spice things up a bit for you. Overall, I'd say the gameplay isn't anything overwhelmingly special, but it is solid enough to keep you having varying levels of fun throughout. Being a single-player, story-driven game, you can't go in expecting RPG levels of content. There's no expansive open world to explore or vast collection of side quests to complete. That's just not this game's identity. What I will say is that each level is beautifully crafted and fun to journey through, and you can tell that they were crafted carefully. There are loot boxes and unlockable outfits you can find, and each character is upgradable, as well as being able to power up Peter Quill's main weapons. It's not expansive enough for you to play for 50 hours or more, but that's not what this game is made for, and I'd argue that the game makes a great impact during the runtime that you do get out of it. Going back and looking at this game, I'm surprised that it didn't receive more fanfare upon release. I had such an amazing time playing it, and I'm sure the majority of you would agree with me. I get that a ton of people were scorned by the Avengers game. 100%, don't blame you. It's hard to trust a developer after that. It's hard to open yourself up to another game in that series after that. But this is far removed from the mess that game was. So if you haven't played this one yet, now is the time. Well, it's actually past the time. So go play this one. I promise you won't be disappointed.
Let me see my boys.